In the news tonight, COVID-19 fight continues. No time for complacency. There is still hope for Fiji.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Bulavanaka, Fiji. The Ministry of Health is continuing its contact tracing and swabbing in areas where a high number of infections are being reported. For the past 5 days, the ministry has recorded infections in triple digits. While we wait for the Health Ministry's virtual press conference that will be held tonight, Kritika Kumar joins us live now. Kritika, so we understand that there are new deaths that were recorded by the ministry yesterday.
8 a.m. yesterday, the Ministry of Health had recorded 180 new infections. One more patient died from COVID-19 at CWM hospital yesterday. He is a 68-year-old man who was admitted at the CWM hospital due to pre-existing non-COVID related illnesses. Apart from this, 2 other deaths occurred at CWM yesterday. One was because of non-COVID related illnesses, while the other death is under investigation. There are now 9 deaths due to COVID-19. 2 deaths are under investigation and 8 COVID-19 positive patients died due to non-COVID related illnesses. Ateda.
Thank you, Kritika. United Nations Resident Coordinator Sanaka Samarisina warns Fiji will be in a dire situation if people continue to be complacent in the fight against the pandemic. Samarisina says waiting to see the effect of the vaccine on those who got their jabs will not be helpful. Apinisa Wangarandovu reports Samarisina, together with his staff and some diplomats, received their second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine today.
Eligible Fijians are once again being urged to get vaccinated.
Even with the first dose, the likelihood of hospitalization drops tremendously. And with the second dose, the likelihood of serious illness from COVID-19 is, less than 10%.
Samarisina says Fiji is lucky to have lesser number of serious cases, and hence the people need to do.
The Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, said Fiji has recorded 279 new infections of COVID-19 in the 24-hour period ending at 8 a.m. today, marking its highest single-day count since the start of the pandemic. Apinisa Wangarandovu joins us live now. Apinisa, so tell us, which areas are the majority of cases from?
Thank you, Atela. Out of the 279 cases recorded today, 46 are from existing containment areas or quarantine facilities in Nandi. 22 are from Nawachikuma, while 8 are from Tremline. These are areas in Nawaka, and 16 are close contacts in quarantine facilities. The remaining 233 cases are from the Lami Nosore containment zone, 196 of which are from existing areas of concern. All 279 new patients of COVID-19 are now either in under home isolation or in quarantine facilities. Atela, it has also been emphasized that the cases are spreading more faster in densely populated areas. The ministry has also recorded 4 deaths today. 2 were reported yesterday, and the doctors have now identified their cause of death as COVID-19 related. Another death recorded today is COVID-19 related as well, while the 4th one is still under investigation. The ministry currently has 9 more patients at the CWM hospital who are severe COVID-19 patients. Atela.
Vinaka Apinisa. United Nations Resident Coordinator Sanaka Samarisina warns Fiji will be in a dire situation if people continue to be complacent in the fight against the pandemic. Samarisina says waiting to see the effect of the vaccine on those who got their jabs will not be helpful. Apinisa Wangarandovu reports again Samarisina, together with his staff and some diplomats, received their second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine today.
Eligible Fijians are once again being urged to get vaccinated.
Even with the first dose, the likelihood of hospitalization drops tremendously. And with the second dose, the likelihood of serious illness from COVID-19 is, less than 10%.
Samarisina says Fiji is lucky to have lesser number of serious cases, and hence the people need to do their part.
it will come to a point where the infrastructure in Fiji will not be able to respond to the crisis at hand. It's not there yet, and I think we can prevent it if only people will take this more seriously.
French Embassy Charge d'Affaires René Consolo says while people are free to make their own choice, it is one thing to be a responsible citizen.
It's the second dose of vaccine I have received today. I've had no problem with the first, so there was no reason why to be anxious to have a second dose.
The UN office in Fiji has over 1,500 staff, and the majority of them have already received their first dose of the vaccine. FBC News.
All is not lost in Fiji's fight against the second wave of the COVID-19. Despite record high numbers of COVID-19 infections daily, the World Health Organization says there is still some chance of success and recovery. WHO representative to the South Pacific, Dr. Akim Ali, says even though Fiji is in an unfortunate position, we continue to receive assistance and implement strict measures. Kelly Vavala reports.
The World Health Organization has been working hand in hand with our health ministry to help contain the spread of the virus.
In terms of how do we test the right groups of people, how do we ensure that the communication with the public is in the right direction with the clearest messages, how do we ensure that we protect healthcare workers who are providing services at the front line, how do we do contact tracing appropriately, how do we do case isolation.
Dr. Akim Ali says there is still hope for Fiji.
Really seeing the dire consequences of COVID. So I would say we don't want to be here, but whilst we're here, all is not lost if we continue to take all the measures that has been advised.
The health ministry says they're implementing measures recommended by the WHO, but Fijians need to become serious.
The most important thing is now is the time for responsibility. So, as I said, if you've been asked to be isolated, if there are a few of us that are asked to be isolated, do your part.
The WHO adds Fiji is on track with its vaccination campaign, and assistance provided from other countries will help boost our COVID-19 response efforts. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
And to our latest COVID-19 update for today. There were 279 new cases in the 24-hour period ending at 8 a.m. this morning. The Ministry of Health has recorded a number of new infections in the Nadi area as well as the Lami Nosori zone. Fiji has recorded 2,479 cases since April. There are now 1,892 active cases in isolation with 636 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll stands at 11. Up ahead, hundreds turn up for vaccination in Lambasa. And 5 in court over G2 estate brawl. Welcome back. The multidisciplinary Australian medical assistance team will be working with the Ministry of Health in progressing COVID-19 response efforts and offer advice in getting the outbreak under control. AusMet mission leader Dr. Brian Spain says while Fiji is on the right path towards curbing the spread of the virus, people need to play their part and be responsible. Koretandulala reports.
The AusMet team consists of specialists with vast experience in infectious disease control.
Specific areas that we'll be looking at are working with the medical teams at the CWM hospital and in the Ministry of Health and Medical Services to work with them to progress the plan to open up the CWM hospital so that it can deal with COVID and non-COVID cases.
Dr. Brian Spain says they will provide expert advice and necessary assistance wherever possible to assist Fiji's response effort.
And that's going to be key to allow health workers and other workers in the hospital to manage in an environment where there is COVID, but keep themselves safe.
So it's good to be able to have the caliber of these experts that are linking in and looking at ways we can maneuver as we deal with the outbreak.
Dr. Spain adds getting the outbreak under control requires everyone's participation.
Controlling COVID really is everyone's business. It's not just for the health professionals. It's really, COVID is often spreading in social gatherings and potentially in homes. So it's important for everyone to be aware.
The team is encouraging Fijians to get vaccinated as it is an important component in mitigating the spread of coronavirus. Kuroy Tantulala, FBC News.
The Ministry of Health started its COVID-19 vaccination campaign in Lambasa today. Hundreds of people turned up at the 2 vaccination venues this morning to receive their first and second jabs. Elena Torangaview has more.
Fijians in the greater Lambasa area, including employees of various companies in town, came forward to receive their AstraZeneca vaccination today.
Good. I don't see any problem. And I've encouraged all my staff. Actually, I'm the director for Inatek Electrical, so I've encouraged all my staff to come and have the second jab. And all of them have been coming willingly.
Large turnouts were recorded at both vaccination venues at St. Mary Primary School and All Saints Secondary School.
I am having my second dose today. I am very happy and I feel proud to have second dose. Just because I had my first dose, I don't have any reaction. Second dose, I am also feeling well.
Majority of those that turned up are older citizens who have brushed aside the rumors about the vaccine and chose to get vaccinated.
To think positive thinking. Negative thinking we don't take you long way. Positive thinking will always go forward. So we must think positive. So many people has taken the vaccinated. I'm here for the first jab. I think we all should come forward and have it.
According to the Ministry of Health, COVID-19 vaccines are safe and highly effective in protecting individuals against the disease.
I'm encouraging you all not to be afraid. Come and get your COVID-19 jab so that we can stop the spread of the killer virus.
Vaccination was also held in Sabu and Tabiuni today. Eleanor Turangeview, FBC News.
5 people from the G2 estate settlement in Suva appeared in court this afternoon, charged with 1 count of assault each. The accused, including 2 juveniles, were allegedly involved in a free-for-all brawl in the squatter settlement on Sunday. The juveniles and 2 men, Penny Tuimbulu and Josese Binaka, were granted bail. The third accused, Aniti Vasasauni, has been further remanded and his bail hearing will be called on Friday. The brawl, which involved up to a dozen people, also sparked concerns as many were seen not wearing masks and disregarding physical distancing measures. There was an even larger group of onlookers, most of whom were also not adhering to COVID-safe requirements. 7 people were arrested in the last 24 hours for breaching curfew, while 1 was arrested for breaching health-related restrictions. 7 were arrested for breaching curfew. A Lotoka taxi driver was charged for carrying excess passengers, breaching the Ministry of Health guidelines on public service vehicles. 2 other arrests were recorded in the Western Division, involved a 31-year-old man who was found drunk along the Saru Back Road, while a 20-year-old man was found loitering along Link Road, Lotoka. The 5 cases recorded in the Southern Division were all in Walilevu. Coming up in world news, Wellington moves to alert level 2. And later in sports, Croatia saves best for last.
A few resorts in Nadi that are still operating say their main priority now is to provide employment. The Radisson Blue Resort and the Sofitel Resort have stated that even though they are on survival mode, the welfare of their staff is paramount. Felipe Naicaso has more.
Despite the tourism industry not looking good as the country grapples with the coronavirus surge, providing jobs to as many staff as possible is the focus now.
The profit right now is not even a topic of conversation for us, because above all else, what we need to put forward right now, it's our human values. Also showing our full support to our employees.
Before the second wave hit, most of these resorts had to cut costs in order to survive, but now things are looking more bleak.
Extremely complicated to continue operation. We're trying to push the deadline as much as we can in terms of our cash flow and so on, but we practically have no more. We have nothing.
The Sofitel resort only houses Fiji Airways staff for quarantine, while Radisson Blu still has a few guests.
So by having all those 4 hotels operational, we've been able to keep a certain amount of our employees employed.
Yeah, the resort's still open. We're still cleaning it. We're still, we are taking cases. We are taking, guests.
They're also hoping that a few restrictions will be lifted as more Fijians get fully vaccinated. Philip and Ikaso, FBC News.
Minister for Economy A.S. Kim continues to hold virtual budget consultations and recently spoke with the private sector and members of respective public service vehicle providers. These include members from the Fiji Minibus Association, Fiji Taxi Association, Fiji Institute of Engineers and the Fiji Institute of Accountants. The consultation focused on the importance of vaccination, safe reopening of businesses and the relief that the government is providing for employers and employees during this time of crisis. Fiji Taxi Association Secretary Ashwin Lal says they hope some of the issues they raised during the consultation will be considered in the next budget.
Regarding the second-hand vehicles for the duty-free, on the vehicle parts, accessories, tires and age limit to be removed from the taxis, and to see the fuel price in Taivuni, which is very high.
The 2021-2022 national budget will be announced on the 16th of next month at 7:30 p.m. Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar lost ground against one of our major trading partners, the Kiwi dollar, as well as the PNG kina, but it gained versus the other international currencies we cover. The commodities market was mixed today. Crude oil held steady at $73.17 a barrel. Gold dropped to close at $1,780 per ounce, and silver dropped further down at $25.93 per ounce. And we now join Sunifa from HFC Bank to give us the latest figures from the money market.
Good evening. The Kiwi dollar remains pressured near intraday low, down 0.26% today. In doing so, the Kiwi prints daily losses for the first time since Friday, while taking a U-turn from the 200-day exponential moving average. The Aussie dollar is also trading under pressure as the US dollar attempts a rebound after the Fed Chair Powell-led sell-off. Powell is concerned over inflation and policy tightening in his testimony yesterday. Meanwhile, the US dollar remained on the back foot against major peers after a two-day drop as US Federal Reserve officials, including Chair Jerome Powell, reaffirmed that tighter monetary policy was still some way off. US Fed officials will keep a close eye on economic data to determine when it will be appropriate to start adjusting monetary policy. Producer price inflation data on Friday is the next major economic focus for the United States. That's all from your HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
The development of the dairy industry, rice, root crop diversification and water resource management will be the major focus for the Agriculture Ministry. This follows the finalization of an agreement between the Agriculture Ministry and the Indian government. Agriculture Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says this agreement is timely given the situation our country is currently in.
Fijians, due to loss of employment, are returning to their villages and communities to farm their land, and such occurrence required the ministry to reorganize its priority to react effectively to the pandemic. These joint activities and programs will be achieved through technical support, exchange of scientific materials and training.
And that is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, Villager opens Dream Bakery. Stay with us.
Welcome back. The University of the South Pacific and Swire Shipping plan to support the Pacific's first low-carbon, low-cost, sail-assisted inter-island cargo vessel. The ship being built The ship being built by the Micronesian Center for Sustainable Transport is intended to serve countries that lack cargo handling infrastructure. With up to $8 million in funding from Swire Shipping, USB will support research efforts addressing challenges associated with constructing and operating a wind motor hybrid vessel. Tenders for the construction are now being considered, and the prospect of building the 41-meter sailing vessel in Fiji is being evaluated. Swire Shipping says with many communities at risk of disappearing, there needs to be action to drive change, and the company is committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. During these hard times, youths are urged to make use of their talent to earn a living. 40-year-old Watikini Sivoi did exactly that and now runs a bakery in Boer village in Vonolevu.
A baker by profession, Watikini Sivoi has always dreamt of opening his own bakery.
From the time I started baking in Suva a couple of decades ago, I set myself a goal to start my own bakery.
2 months ago, Sivoi grabbed the opportunity to do so.
I bought a wood fire oven last year because the dream for a bakery was still alive. I asked my cousin to help build this bakery.
A former baker at Hot Bread Kitchen, Sivoi bakes twice a day, depending on the demand and orders he receives.
I bake twice a day, first one at 3 a.m. So by 6 a.m. the bread and the buns are ready. I also bake in the afternoon and we close at 9 p.m.
The bread and pastries are now sought after not only by villagers but also the surrounding communities in the district. Sivoi learned baking while on the job when he was younger and loves it.
We each have a God-given talent. When I started this business, I had nothing. No money, but I used my God-given talent, and here I am today.
Although small and not properly equipped, Sivoi is proud of the small bakery. Eleanor Turangaibiu, FBC News.
In today's Q&A, Kroy Tantolala speaks with the OSMAT mission leader, Dr. Brian Spain, on plans to strengthen the country's COVID-19 response.
What have you observed before coming to Fiji in terms of how Fiji is handling its coronavirus pandemic?
The Fijian Ministry of Health and Medical Services, your incident management team, with existing partners, with WHO, have already done a huge amount to deal with the evolving COVID pandemic.
These increasing number of cases, from your expert opinion, do you think this is concerning?
It is very concerning, and it's concerning in any environment. When we had the increasing numbers in Australia, it concerned us, and I think it should concern everyone.
Do you think that Fiji is responding appropriately to the current COVID-19 outbreak?
Our whole team has been really impressed. Like it's work. There's so many different aspects to the response, and I think Fiji is working really well. You've got a very comprehensive vaccine program.
What would you say are some of Fiji's limitations currently in trying to stop the spread of COVID-19 that you would be able to help with?
One of the things, because when the disease got into the CWM hospital and that was then shut down and to try and control the spread, when you only have one main hospital in the country, that's critical to your health infrastructure. So I think the thing we're going to focus on helping, and I know plans are already well progressed in this anyway, but to get the CWM back to being functional.
We join Jamie now for sports.
Thank you and good evening. Ahead in sports. Game time for Mboti 2 and Tui Mamba. And Team Fiji taking all precautions ahead of Olympics. This and more coming up. All players in the Fiji's featured at the tournament in Australia this weekend. This will be the last chance for players to impress head coach Gareth Weber before he announces the final 13-member squad for the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan next month. There's also some good news about Vilimoni Mbotitu and Amniasi Tuimamba. Aquila Dama with the details.
Tuimamba and Mbotitu will be available for selection at the Oceania Sevens, which starts on Friday.
The reality is the quality of players that they are. The last time that they played for Fiji, they were voted in the dream team of World Sevens.
Weber says the duo are world-class players and expects them to deliver, even though the transition from 15s will be challenging.
You can't deny that obviously they've been playing 15s for a long period of time, but what I've always realised is that, you know, as soon as I was dealing with certain sevens players, that they have an innate ability to play the game, which they've been brought up in Fiji.
Team co-captain Kalione Nasoko is excited about the pair's inclusion.
We have two experienced players for Fiji. They've done things that everybody knows, playing with the last two series that have been here together. And, you know, coming on to join the team, it's a major boost to the boys.
As per the agreement with the tournament organizers, Fiji may use all players.
There's a maximum that you can take onto the field with agreement for this particular competition of 14. But we also take a view in Fiji where we work to 12, and then we'll rotate players within that game, but also then obviously between games as well.
Fiji will take on Australia in its first game at 4 p.m. on Friday before playing Oceania selection at 9:30 p.m. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Fijian Sevens co-captain Tokasa Senyasi believes the bond the team shares will be a huge factor for a successful Oceania Sevens and Olympics outing. Even the cold weather in Brisbane, Australia fails to deter the players as they go all out at training. Senyasi says they adjusted well to the weather and responded well during training while in quarantine. She adds they're fortunate to be playing against two of the top teams in women's sevens rugby.
This is very important to us because we're meeting the two main teams. They are the tops in the World Series. Few new players who will make their debut in the Senior Sevens international stage. And the bond and the team spirit is very positive and all on the same page.
Team Fiji is in constant contact with Japanese authorities and the Olympic Games Committee in terms of player safety and well-being amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. With all athletes ensuring full vaccination, Team Fiji's head of delegation, Patrick Bawa, says they continue to plan ahead and follow through with safety protocols before the Games. Vinina Rakautonga has more.
It's not just ordinary preparations for the Olympic Games as Team Fiji doubles up on precautionary measures.
There doesn't a day that goes by that Japan doesn't get in touch with us in regards to ensuring that we're all going to be abiding by protocols that are required to keep us all safe, COVID-19 free.
The Fiji Sevens team, who have already confirmed a place for the Olympics, has taken the leading role in ensuring they maintain their bubble.
They have maintained as best as is possible over the circumstance to maintain their bubble. They're very concerned about their team.
Weber says although with limited time due to quarantine, they will need to make it work for the Olympic Games.
It's nice, obviously, when you're preparing for international competition, having convenience, space and time, good pitches to train on is particularly important to us and relevant to, obviously, our preparations. And obviously, Brisbane was a little bit busier. We were in quarantine for 2 weeks up on the Sunshine Coast.
Two players from the Kaiviti Silktails were given the opportunity to train with some of the best NRL players this week. Apakuki Tavondi and Pio Sethi were invited to train with the Sydney Roosters, a grand experience shared by both players who have taken a lot on board as they work hard towards an opportunity at first-grade rugby league. Meanwhile, the Silktails are continuing their preparations for its next Ron Massey Cup match after losing to table leaders St. Mary's 34-18 last weekend. England's 1-0 win against the Czech Republic sets them as leaders of Group D at Euro 2020. Raheem Sterling putting up a solid performance that helped secure the win for the side. To cricket, and the Black Caps' hopes of winning the World Test Championship final against India hang in the balance, with everything riding on the final day. That's it from Sports Tonight. In Weird and Wonderful after the break, a new species of murder hornet discovered in Washington state. Find out more after the break.
A high-pressure system in the far southwest is expected to generate moderate southerly swells, which can cause coastal inundation over the southern parts of the group. A trough of low pressure is approaching the group from the southwest and will bring clouds and showers. Now to the west, it was fine today, but there is a chance of evening showers and isolated thunderstorms with heavy falls. Expect cool temperatures overnight. Eastwards from Pekhawa to Suva, mostly cloudy in the day, and we can expect heavy falls to develop. Moving to the north, more showers are forecast for the next 24 hours. Places we will be checking out is Lami, Nandi and Senganga. Senganga was at 25 degrees, however, it felt like 29. Humidity was at 71%. At sea, moderate southerly swells may cause coastal inundation over the southern coastal parts of the group. For Mamanuza waters, southwest Vitilevu waters, Kandavu Passage, Vatuira Passage, Korosi and southern Lao waters, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, rough seas, moderate southerly swells. Expect coastal sea flooding during high tides. The next high tide is at 5:35 a.m. tomorrow, sunrise at 6:14. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with some showers over Kandavu, southern, eastern and interior parts of Vitilevu and Vanuatu, Tavyuni, Lau and Lomaiviti group. Elsewhere fine apart from afternoon or evening showers. And looking further ahead, similar conditions will prevail. Our shot of the day is from the north, the peace and calm of Savu Savu, also known as the Hidden Paradise. Remember to send us pictures, send it with a small description to our FBC News Facebook page. That's your weather tonight. It's back to Ateda.
Thank you, Kritika. In the world of the weird and maybe not so wonderful, a new specimen of the murder hornet has been discovered in Washington state in the U.S. It's in a completely new era, suggesting it may be a totally separate invasion.
Murder hornets. They were the other big thing people were worrying about back in 2020. Well, another of the giant insects has been discovered in Washington state, just north of Seattle. Luckily, the creature found dead seems to have been so for a while. Experts say they know this because of both how dried out the corpse is and because it is male, which don't usually emerge until at least July. The stinging insects caused quite a stir back in 2019 and into 2020, when their nests were discovered in Canada's British Columbia and into the Pacific Northwest. The species' technical name is the Asian giant hornet, hailing from many parts of Asia, which is why experts were surprised to find them in Canada and the Pacific Northwest, and they're still unsure of how they ever got there. The invasion prompted authorities to set up murder hornet traps and actively destroy any nest they found. Still, the discovery of this new hornet corpse is significant, as the coloring and DNA of the insect doesn't match the other previously found breeds, meaning this could be from a completely separate swarm, and has now prompted authorities to begin searching much further south than before. Asian giant hornets are exceptionally strong flyers, meaning their population can spread exceptionally quickly as well.
In Fijian Pulse, we ask, should vaccination be made compulsory?
It should be compulsory in Fiji, and it is safe, for everyone.
We have our own human rights, and people have their own beliefs, so I don't think so vaccination should be compulsory.
For this COVID-19 vaccine, in my own knowledge, it should be compulsory for us to work and be safe.
Recapping our main stories, COVID-19 infections in triple digits, no time for complacency, and there is still hope for Fiji, says WHO. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we're asking, can Fiji retain its gold medal in rugby sevens at the Tokyo Olympics? Visit fbcnews.com.fj to answer. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos via email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts. And you can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news for tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow. Stay safe. Mwanamba.